Hello friends, welcome to Joy of Life. So in the last video, I have shared my experience giving interview at Microsoft as a senior software engineer too. And I have shared my experience, my tips, my suggestion and some advice for you guys on how to prepare, how to approach the interview, what to do, what not to do. And I have promised that I'll be creating two more videos, one on coding and one on system design. So here I am for the coding video today. So I'm going to cover this for both software engineer and senior software engineer. Though it's more or less the same, there isn't much difference between the two, only that a software engineer might have more number of coding round than a senior software engineer. For a senior software engineer, it's going to be more design heavy. So he has to focus more on the system design part than on the coding. So if you are 0 to 5 or 6 years of experience wherein you'll be going in as a software engineer or a software engineer 2, it will be more heavy on the coding. And these things are going to definitely help you, the one that I'm going to discuss. So on my earlier video, I have mentioned that there are two parts in cracking an interview, right? One is your preparation. So you have to prepare well. And once you're prepared, you need to execute it, means facing the interview. And once you get both the part right, then only you start moving from an interviewee to an employee. That's where the journey begins. So I have collected some questions over here and we are going to discuss them in a lot more details. So talking about the preparation part, the first thing is that what all needs to be prepared for the coding round, how to start coding for the tech companies, how to improve quality of your solution, how to handle when you are stuck with a question, do's and don't during the interview preparation. So we are going to talk in a lot more details in all these points. So once you are done with the preparation part, you have invested your time. Now it's the time when you should go and perform during the interview. That's when your execution round begins. So in the execution, you first should have a good understanding of the interview setup and format, right? And followed by that, you're going to meet somebody from the team you're being interviewed for. So you're going to meet a stranger. So there involves some introduction. So you need to introduce yourself. The interviewer will give some introduction about himself, about the team, about the company and things like that. And then you'll be given a problem, right? You'll be given with a problem statement, and how you should approach the problem is one of the key things in the execution phase. And it might happen that the problem that you get, you don't know how to approach the problem. You're not finding any solution. In those circumstances, what you should do, right? And then you might get some project related question from your current project, or some scenario based questions, or some behavioral questions. It depends who is taking your interview. If it is somebody senior from the team, he might give you some question from these areas. And then at the end, wrapping up the interview and the feedback, it's one of the most important part as well. How you end the interview, how you use the end 10 minutes or 5 minutes to wrap up the interview. So I am going to share some do's and don't during an interview, which might be helpful. So we are going to list them all down. So here I am at Geek for Geeks. It's a one-stop shop where you can find most of your coding related needs. And to start off, we have the data structure section. So in the data structure section, you have all the data structure listed over here, and you should start sequentially. If you're starting fresh, or you are out of touch for a long time, you start with array, then linked list, stack, queues, binary trees, binary search tree heap, and so on. So each of this section, once you click on them, you'll find more details about them. You'll have some pictures, you'll have some theory as well, wherein it will be covered in a lot of details. And then you wanted to check the subtopics, you can check the implementation, you can just open the questions. You will have the problem description along with some pictures and videos of it, and followed by that you will have the code in the choice of your language. So you have many languages to choose from. So in a good tech company, they won't restrict you from writing code in any language. So it's not that you need to know the language the current team is using, not like that. My current team is using .NET and I am completely from the Java background. So there was no question specific to .NET or Java. All your question will be centered around the data structures and the algorithms. So you need to make the right choice and come up with the right solution in order to implement the solution. For data structure, you will find a lot of materials on the web. Another good website is Tutorial Point, wherein you will find good theory over here. But I tend to stick to mostly Geeks for Geeks. It's a one-stop shop for me. Coming to the algorithm part, I'll say that you need to start with the analysis of algorithm. You should have a good understanding of big O, the complexity in terms of both time and space, asymptotic analysis as well. I have created some content over here in one of my playlists called concepts. So you can see over here, you can see the playlist. You'll have some good materials wherein I have tried to share my understanding. So I have covered BIGO, heap, quicksort, merge sort, some of the algorithm and data structure like hashing, hash collision, what is the difference between a ADT and a data structure. So you'll find a lot of details over here. And then coming to the actual algorithms, so there are a lot of algorithms. You can't do everything, but you should do the most important ones. So 3D algorithms, sorting, searching algorithms is another important area. So you should focus on these areas. So you should be well versed with the commonly or frequently used algorithms. Quick sort, merge sort. There are so many sorting algorithms, right? And then you have your max heap, mean heap, all these algorithms, how they work, right? How does a heap sort work when it is used? You should have a good understanding, good in-depth understanding of the data structure. And it's not only the theory, you should know how to implement them. It's important, you need to apply them to your solution, right? So data structure algorithm are the two key things to prepare for your coding round. And the next important thing is the design pattern. I think it's a must for any developer to know the design pattern. It not only helps during your interview, but it also makes you a better programmer. You should have a good understanding of all the patterns that's listed over here, all the frequently used pattern, I should say, the creational design pattern, the structural, the behavioral. There are so many patterns, right? You should have a good understanding of all of them. So this site is a very nice site wherein you just click on the pattern, you'll get the intent, the problem it is trying to solve, the discussion related to that pattern, then the structure of this pattern, some examples, some relevant examples, some checklist, and some rule of thumbs to apply this pattern. And followed by that, you have the code implementation. So you can get for most of the things, you will get a before and after kind of thing. So this is before implementing the pattern, how the solution look like, and this is after implementing the pattern, how the solution look like. So this will give you a very good understanding of your object-oriented programming and things like that. It will give you a very concrete base, and not only just for the interview, I highly recommend that you use this kind of patterns in your day-to-day coding as well. And if you are interested, then you can go and learn about anti-patterns. There are a lot of anti-patterns and there are a lot of refactoring patterns as well. So there are certain scenarios when you have to apply refactoring, and those patterns are written over here, right? Bloating or bloaters is one of the pattern, and there are so many patterns when you should do a refactoring, like a long method. Some methods you'll see they're really long, right? They're doing so many things, right? You shouldn't be writing those kind of method, and you should go ahead and refactor those method. So over here you will find when a method or a class become eligible for refactoring is listed out over here, and here are some anti-pattern that you can apply. So software developer, architecture, project management. So you will be more focused on software development anti-patterns. So there are a lot of patterns you can see over here, right? So you can read about them. It's a very good read, and it's going to make you a better programmer. And the next important thing that you should have a good understanding, it also makes you a good programmer. It's not only required during your interview, it's actually indirectly required during your interview. So it is expected that you have the knowledge when you write the code. You should follow all this principle. So try, don't repeat yourself, or try. It's one of the most common principle. Encapsulate what changes. So encapsulation, so you can read about all of them: open close principle, single responsibility principle, dependency injection or DI. Then you have your Liskov substitution principle, ISP principle, interface segregation principle. There are a lot of interesting reads, and it's something that you'll be using in your day-to-day life. So these are the 4 things that I would recommend. The 2 most important things are data structure and algorithm. And when you write the code, you should follow the right design patterns. If you're given to implement a system wherein you need to put the hierarchy of classes, design pattern is going to be super helpful. And when writing the code, you should follow the design principle. Just to give you one example, you don't want to write repetitive code, right? With the repetitive code, what do? You create a method out of it, and you call the method from the different places, right? That's what DRI is all about. You can read more about it. You will find more details about the same. Similarly, we have open close principle. So classes, method, function should be open for extension. So we are not going to go ahead and change the class if the requirement changes. We are going to extend the class, and we are going to modify or write code in the extended class. So this is the fundamental of this principle, that the classes, method or function should be open for extension, new functionality, but closed for modification. I am not going to touch any of the existing methods. So I am going to structure my classes in a way that I can extend the behavior of it. So another important principle over here is single responsibility principle. So when you're writing a class or a method, what your class does, if I ask you the same and if your answer contains the word called and, that means your class or your method is doing more than one thing, and it shouldn't be doing that. Your class or method should be given a single responsibility to handle, right? So this is one of the most important principle, and it is a part of the solid principle as well. So solid consists of 5 principles. So if you go ahead and search for solid, not only solid but solid principles, you will find all the 5 things over here. If you search with the solid principle, you will find single responsibility is 1. Then O stands for open close principle. L stands for list cup substitution principle. I stands for interface segregation principle, and D is for dependency injection. So that's how the solid is created, SOLID. There are 5 principles in it, and that's a very good read, and it's required in your day-to-day coding activities. So we have talked about this. So the next question is how to start coding for the tech companies, and I would highly recommend using a platform like LeetCode. Not only LeetCode, there are several other platforms that you can choose from. So you can pick up any problem from the easy section, which has a high acceptance rate. So initially 1 week you should spend a lot of time. You should not time bound your problem. So you should spend ample time to understand the problem, go through them, read about what is given, the examples, the constraint, everything, and then try to come up with the solution. If you don't get the solution for this problem, say problem number 21, you are not getting a solution, just leave it aside after half an hour and then move to the next problem and try to solve that easy problem. So try 3 or 4 problems, and I'm sure you'll be definitely able to start solving them after a certain point of time, maybe after 4 or 5 questions. And in case if you don't get the solution still, what you can do is you can go to the solution section and you can read the theory about the solution. Don't look at the code. Try to understand what they are telling about the approach and try to solve the problem. And if you don't have a LeetCode subscription, premium subscription, not all the solution are locked, but this one is locked. You can head over to the discuss section over here, and you can pick up the solution by any of the programmers who have submitted over here. So just go over, look at the solution, try and understand what he is doing. Your intent is to learn from him and not to copy paste and make it work, right? We are here to learn. So just understand what he is doing. Come back to your description again and try to write it on your own. Do not copy paste, right? So one point I wanted to add over here is in the do's and don'ts table, I want to put is don't copy paste solution or don't try to memorize any solution. Just go ahead, try to solve it on your own. Now once you get familiar with it and start solving the problem of your own, the easy ones, then you should go for a medium level problem. So again, you can just go to the difficulty section, choose the medium, and you can pick up the problem that you want to solve. And now you should time bound your solution. You should try to solve it within 20 minutes. Don't spend more than 20 minutes if you are stuck on a problem. If it is a medium problem, then just spend 20 minutes. If it is a hard problem, spend 40 minutes, and don't spend a minute extra on it. Just leave that problem aside and move to the next problem, right? So just pick up the problem, next problem, and just keep moving. Right, so it might happen that you don't get the solution and you must be wondering what should I do in that case, right? I'll come to that later. And now once you're able to solve the problem, the next thing that you should look out is how good is your solution, right? You should see how your solution is performing compared to the other submission in the platform. So let's take an example over here. So longest palindromic substring is what we are going to look at. So once you solve the problem, right, you get the So once I submit it, what will happen is I'll get a comparison over here. So you can see that how is my solution performing. So you can see that it beats only 16.69% of all the submissions, right? So that means this solution needs to be improved. It's good that you have solved it, but now coming to the next point in our sheet over here, how to improve the quality of your solution. So keep a note of the number, the problem number, and you need to improve. So keep in mind that number 5 needs to be improved. So you have to look back on it after some time. After how much time, we are going to talk in details. So once you submit, all your submissions are here. So you can see that I have tried it so many times, right? Previously I got a better solution. So if you see over here, this solution, this, if I open, so it will see that it's almost beats 85.54% of the solution. So I tried a different approach, just wanted to explore the dynamic programming approach to the same problem, and my solution was not that optimum, but the intent for me was to check out if I could use a DP table in order to solve the problem or not. So if you see this, I have used the dynamic programming approach over here. So I have created the table and tried to solve it. But over here, if you see that I have used a completely different approach, it has nothing to do with dynamic programming. It was a simple solution that I have tried out over here. So don't refrain yourself from trying out different thing. It's a good thing that you should be trying. So you can see that I have tried it out so many times, right? You should also do the same thing, right? So another couple of points that I wanted to add is make sure your solution is better than 80% of all the submission. Try to do that. Try to achieve the higher number as possible. So here also you can see that the peak, most of the submission is around the same level, and I did my submission around the same level. So try to match that, right? If it doesn't work out, just keep a note of that number and move on to the next problem, but do come back to this problem and try to come up with a better solution. And after how many days and all, I'll come to those things later. And now do remember, when you are giving an interview, you are not be given your IDE to write the code, right? So write code in the text editor provided by LeetCode. Do not write code in Visual Studio, Eclipse, IntelliJ, or anywhere else. Use whatever is given to you. Use it over here. Though it is not expected that you will remember all the functions and things like that, but it is a good thing, because if you are familiar with your IDE, you will feel uncomfortable writing code in places like that. This is to build your comfort and nothing else. So second don't is, don't use IDE for writing the code. Use text editor or use the LeetCode's coding place in order to write your code. Do not use the IDE when you are practicing. In other time, please feel free to use it, but build your own comfort over here. So coming back over here, we have talked about how to start the coding. So follow this approach and it would be helpful. If you are still not getting the solution after say 2 or 3 weeks, then do visit the discussion board to see if you can find out something from there. Of course, you'll be able to find there are a lot of programmers. They are contributing over here all the time. You will find a solution over here. So you can see that we have a Python 3 solution over here, which beats 92.68% of all the submissions. So you can go ahead and check out his solution. Irrespective of the language, you can still take a look and you'll still be able to understand. If you're a Java developer or a C++ developer or from any background, you should be able to understand it. There is nothing stopping you from understanding it. So just take a look. Don't just stick to your language. Try to be as language agnostic as possible. Try to check out different solutions. Try to learn from it. Some of the places people has explained in a very nice way. Try to understand it. Don't again copy paste from here. It's not the count that you need to increase, but you need to understand it and implement on your own. And for most of the companies, I would recommend that you should practice medium problems more. It is more likely that you will get medium problem than a hard problem. So mostly practice the medium problems and do give a shot at the hard problems. So you can see from my stats over here that I have solved many medium problems, but lesser of hard and easy ones, right? So easy one mostly for the warm up, and this is not the actual count. I do it year by year. So for every year I have a different session. So I'm showing you from 2019, that was selected by default anyways. Doesn't matter. So do that, try to improve the solution, try to learn from it and try to get it done. So continuously play around with your code, try to find out things, and it will definitely help you to improve, right? And now, how to handle when you are stuck with a question. So if your solution is not of good quality, it is below 50%, or if you are stuck with a particular problem, then what you should do. So here is the strategy that I am going to share with you. So let's talk about Fibonacci numbers. So you know what is a Fibonacci number, right? You just make a sum of these two and you get the next one, right? So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21 is a Fibonacci series, right? Let's leave the zero aside. So you must be thinking like why I suddenly started talking about Fibonacci series. So Fibonacci is a very important thing and it's going to be super helpful in order to understand my strategy over here. So let's say you are stuck on a problem and this is your week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3. So let's say you are spending 2 hours every day in order to solve problems, and you are spending 120 minutes, right? And you are solving medium questions only, just for understanding how to approach this solution or this strategy of solving the problem. So by 20, you are solving every day 6 questions, 6 different questions, right? 6 medium questions. So you tried this one and you failed, right? So you have spent 20 minutes with this problem, you couldn't succeed, and you move on to the next problem. The white box doesn't mean that you succeeded. I'm just denoting it with a different color. And let me put the Fibonacci series over here. So 1, 1, 2, 3. So here is my Fibonacci series till 21, and 3 weeks has 21 days, right? So what will happen is you tried this problem first and you tried few more problems the same day. So you're solving 6 problems every day, right? So you are done with 5 problems, and at the end of the day, give a shot on that problem again, right? I'll tell you why. We'll come to that part later. So let's say you failed here as well. Okay. So the next day you start the day again and you start solving the problem, and after trying 2 or 3 programs, you again give it a shot. And let's say that you failed again, you couldn't solve it, right? So just talking about the negative scenario, in case you get the solution, nothing like it, right? And again, on the third day, you try to get that solution. So let's say on the third day, you tried, after trying 4 programs, you tried your red program again, and let's say you failed. If you succeed, nothing like it, right? It's good that you succeeded. On the 4th day, we are not going to try that program at all. We're going to skip that program completely. On the 5th day, what we are going to do is we are going to give it a shot again. Let's say that was my 3rd program on the 5th day. On the 6th day, I am not going to touch that problem at all. Similarly, on the 7th day, I am not going to attempt that program at all. I'm just going to try other medium programs, and this white boxes could mean that you might succeed, you might fail, but that's not my lookout. I'm just focusing on the failed one right now. If you fail in any of these white boxes, you'll take the same approach, considering it to be the day 1. So on the 8th day, you give it a shot again, right? Similarly, let's say on the 8th day you fail, so you don't try to solve that on 9th, 10th, and 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th day at all. You again give it a shot on the 13th day. And let's say you still couldn't make it, and then you try the same program again on the 21st day, not prior to that. So again, you try the problem on the 21st day. Now you must be thinking that what is the relation to this with the Fibonacci series, right? So you can see that it's 1, 1. You have tried on the 1st day, you have tried on the 2nd day, you have tried on the 3rd day, you have tried on the 5th day, you have tried on the 8th day, you have tried on the 13th day, and you have tried on the 21st day. So this is nothing but 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. This is nothing but your Fibonacci series. But how this is going to be helpful for you? That's the question, right? So just see, between each of the attempts, the number of other programs that you are solving is going up dramatically, right? From the 5th to the 8th day, you have almost solved 12 plus 4, 16 plus 3, 19 problems, right? So the more number of problems you try, the more knowledge you get, right? And there is a higher probability that you might solve it here than over here. right? This is how it increases with the time. So don't spend too much time doing this approach. Just try for 3 weeks, and if you still don't get a solution, it's most likely that you won't find the solution. It's the time for you to learn the solution. So go ahead and hit the solution section, try to read about it if it is open. If not, go to the discuss part and find out some good solution from here, and try to understand and learn from the solution. Again, do not copy paste, learn from it, because the main intention for us over here is to build knowledge, right? So that we can face these kind of things during an interview. So here is one of the strategy which I felt was pretty helpful. Just keep a note. You don't have to create table. This is just to make you visually understand what you should be doing. It's not that it has to be the fifth program of the eighth day, nothing like that. You can do it at any point of time, whenever you want, but give it a try on the 8th day, give it a try on the 13th day, and I'm sure you will be a better person on the 13th day than on the 8th day, right? Because you have been continuously solving so many problems in between. So that's how you can unblock yourself. You can do the same process if your solution is of not good quality, right? So this can be done along with this. When your quality of the solution is not good, you can try out this strategy as well. So here are 3 or 4 do's and don'ts that we have come up with, right? And we'll be coming up with more as and when we find during the discussion. We are going to go ahead and add them over here. Now that we are done with the preparation part and you have invested a lot of time in preparing yourself, it's the time to get the reward of it. So you should be good with your execution part, and you should convert this interview to a job, right? That's what your target is. That's why you are putting all these efforts and you're solving so many questions in just 3 weeks, right? You have been dedicatedly trying. So this is the part you should be focused more now, once you're prepared to crack the interview. So let's talk about the interview now. So you will get 60 minutes, not to be exact, there could be plus minus 5-10 minutes for sure. And in this time, what you need to do is you need to solve the problem. So when the interview starts, so I'll mark it over here. So the first 10 minutes will go on in your introduction part. So this part over here will be gone in the introduction. And followed by that, you will be given a question. So you will be given a question by the interviewer and you need to solve it, right? So here also I wanted to mention that it's more likely that you will first get a medium question, followed by an extension of the medium question, or a fresh medium question again. Spend 20 minutes and spend 20 minutes here or here, right? So this is one of the main reason why I have restricted you to stand at 20 minutes time for a medium problem. And if you are given a hard problem, you will be asked only one hard problem, which will be of 40 minutes. So you don't need to worry about it. So that's why initially I have set the time for you to keep your problem solving strict on time. So you should make it time bound when practicing, because your interview is of a fixed amount of time. Now remember that at the end, 5% of this time, like the last 5 minutes, will be your wrap up time. So basically you are left with 45 minutes of your time, right? So this is the point over here when you will be given with the question, right? So you have to solve 2 medium questions. So you should not be spending more than 20 minutes or 25 minutes in order to solve that question. So let's say you take this much time to solve the question, and you should keep the remaining time for the next question, right? So you'll have 2 questions. So mostly you will get this 80% of the time 2 medium question, and 20% of the time you'll be getting a hard question. So your medium 1 question falls here, your medium 2 question falls here, right? This is what your interview setup and the format should be. So strictly 10 minutes over here, 20 minutes over here, 20 minutes over here, 5 minutes over here. So we are done with 55 minutes, and you should have 5 minutes to push it where required. So keep that strategy in mind. So practice in sync with your interview format, right? Now talking about each part of the interview. So introduction part. So interviewer will be introducing himself and then he'll be passing over to you. In your introduction, you talk a little about your background, your studies, your education, and you might be having experience in multiple companies. Let's say you have three experiences. So for the first two, this and this, keep it low. Don't talk much about it. Just give a high level overview. And this is your current job, right? So talk a lot more about this one. So talk about your project, give all the details that you are working on, go a little deeper. And if the interviewer wants to know more, let him ask the follow-up question. Don't spend more than 5 minutes in this part, in this entire part. So try to wrap it up within 5 minutes. And we have talked about, and we have a point over here that you might be asked a question based on your current project. So build a good understanding about your current project. Know what your current project is doing, all the technology stack, the design choices that's being made, not by you, maybe by your seniors, but you should have a good understanding around them. You might be asked that how would you design it differently at this point of time? What are the drawbacks of your current project? What are the limitations? How would you overcome it? So you might get question about your project at this part of the interview. So be prepared, get a good grasp of your project, understand why you are doing things, how you are doing things, and be ready to come up with the relevant answers at this point of time. The behavioral or the scenario based questions might come up at some point at this phase or at this phase, right? It can come up over here. It depends upon the interviewer. If he is from the management side, a senior manager or a manager, besides being technical, he might give you a scenario wherein he might ask you about a time when you felt it was challenging with one of your seniors and how did you handle it, or to describe a time when you faced some technical difficulties and how did you overcome it. Or you might be asked that to state about a scenario where you stand out from the rest of the team, did something exceptional, did something out of the box, or things like that. So be prepared for all of them. It might come anytime. Okay, so we are done with the introduction part. Now coming to the problem solving part. So you'll be given with a problem statement and you are supposed to come up with the solution, right? So interviewer is giving you a problem statement. Nowadays most of the interviews are online, so you'll be given in a text mode in some link, right, wherein you have to write the code. You don't have your editor there. So try to make the interview as engaging as possible. Try to engage the interviewer. Don't be afraid of him. Try to break out a conversation. Make it sound more like a discussion than an interview. So one big do over here is engaging your interviewer into the discussion. So this is going to be a very key thing and you have to do it throughout the process, engaging your interviewer and keep it more like a discussion rather than an interview, right? Read out the problem loud and try to articulate what you are thinking. Speak out what you are thinking. Think out loud. So that is another do that I'll be mentioning over here, that you should be thinking out loud. So don't be silent. Interviewer won't know if you are stuck or if you are thinking, if you need some help or not. So don't do that. Keep talking to your interviewer, engage him as much as possible. So talk about all the approaches that you are thinking, and that will give you a clear sight that you are going in the right direction or not, right? And you might get a lot of hint from the interviewer. So talk about your solution that you have in mind, and once you are in agreement with your interviewer, then the next thing, don't just jump into the code. Talk about the complexity in terms of both time and space. So that is going to give a very good impression when you are talking about your complexity. And once you are done doing that, then start writing the code. And when you write the code, make sure that you are following the right design principle. Don't just throw him 100 lines of code. Don't remain silent while writing the code as well. Keep it engaging as well. So follow point number one. So when you're writing the code, talk through the solution, why you are doing so, why you are choosing a linked list over a array list or things like that. Just keep him engaged. It might happen that if you are silent, he might get distracted. It's your responsibility to keep him on his toes and make the interview as engaging as possible, right? So focus on that, and also write clean code. Don't write clumsy code. Don't just throw the code over there. Enjoy the interview, talk through the solution, write the code, talk through it, create proper classes, methods wherever required, give them meaningful name, and try to follow as if you're writing the code for your production, right? Think that it's going to get reviewed by at least 10 or 15 guys. So write in the best way as possible, right? And if any mistake is pointed out by your interviewer, don't be sluggish. So don't write any sluggish code. So another don't I want to add is don't rush to write your code or jump to the solution. Go slow, go along with the flow, go along with the interview, and it will definitely yield you good result. So don't write bad or sloppy codes. Write as if you care for the code and this code is going for the production and it's going to get reviewed by at least 10 people. Write it in such a way. And the next thing that you should do once you write the code is also talking about your testing strategy or your test cases. So write test cases or talk about testing strategies that would definitely carry some extra point for you, right? So that's a good thing to do. So even if you write a very simple code, also make sure your code you are covering it with ample test cases and you are writing some good quality code. So follow all these things and I think you will definitely go in the right direction, right? Coming to the next part, how to approach the given problem, we have done with it. Now, what if you don't find a solution to the problem that you have got? So you might get a problem wherein you don't know the solution, you don't know how to approach the problem, how to solve the problem. It might happen. It's sometimes bad luck that some days are not good enough, right? You might end up in such a day. So nothing to worry. So just take a step back, look at the problem again. Okay, just read the problem, try to see if you can find any hint from the problem which points towards some data structure or algorithm, and try to see at least if you can make some progress towards the solution. At least try to go for a brute force approach if you don't find anything else, right? Try the brute force approach. And if you are keeping your interviewer engaged, he is going to provide you hint, right? He will definitely give you hint. He's spending his time. When he sees that you are trying to solve it, he'll definitely give you some hints. You should stay calm and you should go through the hint properly and try to optimize the problem, right? You made a little progress with the hint towards a little bit optimized solution or a try towards optimized solution. And if you keep your interviewer engaged, he is definitely will give you some extra point to help you over there, and you can definitely optimize it to some extent. So you cannot excel over here, but you can convert this 0% to at least 25%. Something is better than not at all. It might happen that from the hint you might get the exact solution also. It might strike, right? So when you keep your interviewer engaging, there is always a high chance that things can go in your favor. You can turn your bad day into a good day, right? Another thing to mention over here, if you get such a problem, don't give up. Giving up is never a solution. So don't ever give up is another big thing that I want to mention. So giving up is one of the bad attitude. At least you should try from your end as far as you can. You should keep on trying, and your interviewer is definitely going to enable you with some hint. And if you have practiced enough, right, you have solved so many problems over here over the weeks. It's just 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks also, right? So 6 weeks eventually means 7 days, right? That's 42, and you are trying 6 programs every day, so it's like 240 plus 12, 252 problems approximately you have tried, right? So if you are genuinely following and try to learn, so every step that you are taking, it's towards a learning, right? You are definitely going to make use of this hint, and you will make things better for you. So don't give up, try to look back and try to find the solution from there. We have already talked about the behavioral scenarios, so we are good with that. Why I'm stressing so much on keeping the interviewer engaged, right? So let's say that this is your 20 minutes. So let's say these are all your 5 minutes, right? So this is 0, 5, 10, 15, and so on. And this is 20. So just think it to be a straight line, and you have just two checkpoints here and here. So if you are not keeping your interviewer engaged over here, so at this point of time, your interviewer said that you have done some mistake at this point, right? So you have to revert all this effort and have to start again. So you are in the 20th minute and your interviewer said that you made a mistake at this point. So you're going to spend another, say this was on the third minute, so you are going to spend another 17 minutes. So you are going to screw up this entire process. So you are going to borrow the time from here to here, right? You're going to cut the time on your second problem. So if you keep the interviewer engaged, it's like these all are your checkpoints. So every minute is your checkpoint. So at this point, when you are over here and your interviewer disagrees with you over here, you definitely know these are all your safe checkpoints and you don't need to fall back to a great extent, right? Because you are keeping him engaged. So you can rectify here and you can move on, right? And again, when you pass all these checkpoints, that means you are good. Again, your interviewer says something and you know that you are good till here. Your interviewer is with agreement with you till here. So that means you're doing something wrong at this point, right? So it's easier for you to rectify and save the time. It's more like working on a notepad and saving it every 30 seconds, or saving it at the end of writing a 10 pages, right? So what do? You write 10 pages and then you click on save, or you write every page and you save at every point, so that if there is a loss in the ninth minute, you are left with 8 minutes of content, right? You don't lose everything. So same is the strategy that we are going to follow over here. And that's the only way, is to engage the interviewer. Now you might think that you got a easy problem, right? You got a easy one, a problem that you have solved before with a little tweak. A little tweak is there, but you thought, okay, I'll just do it. So what you start doing is you start solving the problem, and in 15 minutes you have completed the problem, and you have written down 60 lines of code. Now what happens in this 15 minutes is that your interviewer, since you are not talking, he was engaged in some other day-to-day activities that he's supposed to do, right? So he lost his focus from the interview, and we never want that to happen. So we don't want that to happen. We want the interviewer to be engaged in the interview as deep as you are engaged in the interview, right? So talking is always a good thing, right? And since there is a little bit of tweak, it might happen that you have done something wrong, right? And now you need to rectify it all over again. Not only that, even if you come with the correct solution, when you talk, it shows a good team player attitude. And this is what every team looks for, right? We don't want somebody to work in isolation. We want a person to work as a team. So I would highly recommend that you talk through it, you talk through the interview, and you keep the interviewer engaged. And the last part is wrapping up. So when you're giving this time to wrap up the interview at the end, so make use of the time to find out more about the team, about the project, about the upcoming works, about the upcoming work that is going to come, what is your roles and responsibility. It is beneficial in both ways. You will have a great understanding of what your role is going to be once you get through, or you get the offer, what your role is going to be. And on the other hand, your interviewer will have a feeling that this guy wants to know, he's quite interested, he's coming up with all the relevant questions. So this is a win-win for both the sides. I would say make use of this time to clear up all your doubts. Ask about the next step in the interview, how you will get the feedback of this round. So every round is followed by a feedback. So you will have a feedback loop from the HR over here. So ask about when can you get the feedback and what would be the next rounds looks like, right? You will get some insights. You can be well prepared ahead of your time, and that will give a good understanding of what you should be focusing in your upcoming interviews, right? So with that, we have covered all the do's and don'ts, and we have summarized quite a lot over here. So try to follow these tips, and do let me know if you have any questions. Do let me know about any part. I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. I hope this content will be helpful. So all the best for your upcoming interview. Do let me know if I have missed anything. I have tried my best to cover all the points over here, and do let me know what you think about the strategy that I just told you. So this is something that I followed, and I think that gave me some decent result. So do give it a like if you think the video was of any help to you. Do share with your friends, and do let me know what are the other topics that you want me to cover. And yeah, that's all. Bye bye and take care. See you.